everyone, we're going to begin drafting our very own sonata form exposition. This could seem intimidating at first. I certainly understand that, either if you're not as familiar with composition or if you're not as familiar with the classical style, this can seem perhaps insurmountable at first. But what we're going to do is break it down. First, we're going to create an outline, and then we're going to walk through sketching some of those aspects of the outline. So first, let's talk about what we need in an exposition section. So we're going to need, of course, first to make sure that the font is bigger so we can actually read that. So we'll go ahead and do that first. There, that's nice and big. So in our exposition section, the first thing that we're going to need to have is our primary theme area. And remember, that was a stable area that was often melodic. And the primary theme area was also often active. The secondary theme area tended to be a little bit more lyrical. So then we'll also want to pick our key. I'm going to do something real simple. I'm going to do C major, because why not? These are trying times. So we've got our primary theme area. It's going to be relatively stable, and we're going to be a nice sunny C major. Then we're going to have our transition section. That is going to need to be unstable, and particularly it's unstable because it's going to modulate. So we will have some sort of modulatory process, and we're going to want to get somewhere close to G major. So we should also note that the primary theme area should probably end on a PAC. End on a PAC. And our transition could end a variety of ways. Usually we end our transition section with an open cadence, and we've seen examples where this could actually be a half cadence in C, or it could be a half cadence in G. Either one could work, but we'll want to end with one of those. So that's the second thing we'll want. The third thing we want is our secondary theme area. Secondary theme area is going to be relatively stable, and it's going to need to, it will also tend to be melodic, but this one's a little bit more lyrical. Maybe a little bit less active than the primary theme area, but certainly still stable. And lastly, we're going to end with our closing section, and this is going to be unstable in terms of having frequent cadences, and we could have sort of flowery passage work. I'll spell that correctly. There we go. So that's our basic outline. We want our primary theme area stable, our transition section unstable and modulating. We want our secondary theme area stable and lyrical, and we want our closing area unstable but with sort of frequent cadences. So I was just out walking my dog, and I was thinking about a few ideas, and I'll put them up on a sketch pad now so that we can look at them together. And I'm just going to sort of vaguely outline them at first. The first idea that I had was some sort of downward scale and then an upwards answer, and then taking that idea and repeating it, and then coming to a cadence. Then there would be some sort of continuous harmonic underpinning, either a repeated note or a Alberti bass, something to give us a sense of the harmony and to give us a sense of motion, that activity that we like to have in the primary theme area, and then a little melody up top using that downward scale motive, maybe sequencing a couple of times, and then coming to a PAC. So that's the first sort of shape of what I was expecting the primary theme area to perhaps look like. So let's dive in a little bit deeper and see what we could do to flesh out this idea more than just a sketch. So I had said that I liked this idea of having some sort of downward scale, something like this. Maybe I'll turn that up a little bit so you can hear it better. And then, so just a downward C major scale, and then maybe something answering it. And the idea that I had went like this: sol, do, sol, re, sol, mi. Just a nice step progression. Little compound melody there. So I'm going to go ahead and just sketch out this quick idea, this downwards scale. So we have just some straight 16th notes there. I should erase a little bit of that. A little bit too much of an erase. There we go. And there we are. So, yum ba da 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 dum, bum 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 bum. And my daughter is singing along in the background. So, we have this. My Apple Pencil is low. And then I was thinking perhaps it could be answered with something that brings us more to the 5 chord. This is very much one material, right? This could all be harmonized with a 1. Even though what I think I want is maybe to have this in octaves here. All the way through. So we have... And then maybe something that implies 5 or maybe 5/7. And then the idea that I had was maybe something like this. Using the same rhythmic motive as the opening gesture, but with everything as part of the 5/7 chord, or in this case it is a little bit more like a 7 diminished. So we have then a sort of answering phrase to that, and that could be in octaves too. And then I wanted some sort of cadence phrase, and the cadence phrase that I came up with was this arpeggio. Let me give the rhythm right. With this sort of slurred motion, like that. Bottom, bottom, bottom. So overall, that opening gesture that we had, and maybe we could add in chords here later on, because it's starting to feel a little bit bare. Another option, maybe we could do sixths. Maybe a little bit too sweet for the beginning, so we'll keep it simple. We'll stick with octaves. And then maybe 4 chord. And now we're off to the races. Now we could have that repeating harmonic underpinning. Maybe either an Alberti bass, or maybe just a repeated note. That would be fine too. The idea that I was having, so we have this phrase and we have this phrase of our PTA. The idea that I was having before was just this, using that motive, that downward motive again. And with those sort of leans in that we sometimes get in the classical era. So that idea written out was this. I played it an octave lower than I'm writing it. So quarter, 16ths, and then that sort of accented chromatic passing tone. So we could have some sort of continuing C idea. So we have ba-be-da-da-do-dee-dum, and then the immediate thing that I heard after that was a sequence. Taking that same idea and just taking it down a third from its original position. So something like this. And we could keep this same, we could keep the C. So that's a question, or we could change I feel like it might change right there. We'll come back to that. We'll see if we want to change that. And then perhaps continue that sequence one more time, but you know, we've talked about the rule of 3 change on the third time around. Maybe we could take that sequence, take it down. That's starting to look like some sort of 5-ish chord, and so that could take us to a cadence. Yeah, so something like that. I'm sort of improvising here a little bit. Bum, ba da da da, and then maybe taking it up with a couple of turny figures. Or and then having that cadence again, maybe that comes at the end, so we could have that PAC motion. Excuse me. And then that might be the end of our primary theme area. So let's write out what those turns might be. Something like this. There we go. I think this is what I played the first time, where we went up. Do, re, mi, do, re, fa, mi, re. And then we could bring down this idea and have fa, la, sol, ti, do. And this would be our PAC. So that's sort of just a quick process. So now we've got those ideas that I had written out. Now we have this this sketch of what a primary theme area might look like. From the top. Now we'd probably have to change harmonies in here somewhere, but we'll work that out when we come to a finalization of that idea. For now, that's the primary theme area, so I invite you to pause this, take a step away, and go ahead and start sketching out your own primary theme area. Have fun, come up with the melody, make it relatively stable in terms of not modulating, but it can still have some activity to it. So have fun and happy writing.